Welcome to Heart Home Community's most recent Baldwinsville Community Update. I'm your host, Shelley Hoffman. Hey everybody, I'm excited. Today I have Chief Mike Lefancheck, and it has been a couple months since I got to talk to you, sir. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. It's definitely been too long. Apologize for that. I know we've each had some scheduling things with our summertime here, so it's good to be back and having a chance to chat with you and everyone else that's out there watching.
Perfect. Yeah, last year we didn't really have anything to do in the summer, so you had no choice but to talk to me. But now there's actually things going on, right?
I think last year you were having me talk to you every week because there wasn't anything else for anyone to do or watch. And we had a lot of people watching us too. But I'm glad that things are, somewhat normalized. Obviously not back to normal completely, but somewhat normalized. But there's still a lot going on and enough things for me to communicate. So this is a great opportunity to do that.
Perfect. So, well, that being said, I hope anything good about the summer for you, because normally we're like, oh, what'd you do this weekend or what'd you do this month? But I don't think I've talked to you all summer. Any big trips or anything fun that you did that, we should know that our chief of police is out there protecting us throughout the county or throughout the United States?
Unfortunately, no. My parents have been dealing with some health situations that have kept me pretty much grounded locally here to Baldwinsville. I haven't been able to get up to the Adirondacks and do any hiking or anything, but that's my priority right now. And hopefully we can get those things settled away and I'll be able to get away and do something.
Yeah, well, and that's one of the reasons that people relate to you so well is because your family is important to you. So that's awesome.
Absolutely.
I've pretty much been hanging out in the village of Baldwinsville. I did get heckled at the street corner the other day. I'm not sure if you were aware of that. It might have been with somebody telling me not to walk out in traffic. I won't point any fingers, but
I was concerned that you might just, your face was buried in that phone, that you might just step off the curb or at the four corners out at the traffic there. You seemed quite startled when I mentioned on the PA to get your face out of your phone.
I definitely was. So I'm glad you're there to protect us all, Mike.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So what has been going on in the village?
It's interesting because before I do these talks, a few days before I start, I make sure I talk to the officers and that are out on patrol every day. And I say, hey, I'm going to be chit-chat with Shelley, and what are some things you'd like me to convey? And so first and foremost, the first words out of their mouth was stolen vehicles, not just in the village, but, in the general area. And they're like, Chief, people are leaving their keys in the vehicle, their wallets in the vehicle, the cars are getting stolen, then they're using the credit cards to put gas in them, so they keep driving the cars around. And if we could just get people to not leave things in their vehicle, especially the keys, as well as lock them up. And really that's what the officer said. And I know, Shelley, since the very first time you and I have spoken, this has been something that I have harped upon to do. So if anyone's watching me on multiple occasions, I'm going to apologize, but it's something that we continually have occur. There are individuals that go out at night and, they'll walk in neighborhoods and just see if they can get into car doors. And they really won't smash any doors or windows. They're just going to open the unlocked ones. And they're finding a lot of valuables in there. So if people could just lock those things up, we'd be most appreciative about that. Really would.
Yeah, I that I extended my driveway. So the way that my driveway is, and before I always locked my doors, but I parked so far up my driveway, I thought, boy, they have to be pretty eager to go all the way up my driveway. But now with more cars going on, I have your voice in my head because one of the cars is right down there by the road. If somebody's walking the sidewalk, super easy, just take 5 steps, open the car door and see if it'll open or not. So, it's not even like they're necessarily looking to do anything wrong. It's just opportunity, right? And they go and they take it.
Well, yeah. And especially over the summer here, a lot of times, we got kids that are out and about later at night, school's not in session and are on the weekends and they're out walking around and, opportunity breeds the chance to make poor decisions. And sometimes they might just be looking to see if there's anything of value in the vehicle. And then they find that there's a key in there and the vehicle started. Well, let's steal it and let's go and see what we can do. So whether they take it, into the city of Syracuse or elsewhere in the county. And, one of the officers was talking today about a vehicle that wasn't stolen here from the village, but next township over. And the troopers and the sheriffs are working that case, and they're trying to locate it. And I know that the credit card's been used to put gas in the vehicle, and so because the wallet was left in it. So these are things that are happening. They're happening around us, and certainly we're not immune to that as well.
Right. Well, and the resources and what you guys do, I mean, it's easy enough for someone just to click a button or push a button down to lock the door, and then you can focus on other things that are, are actually hurtful. And I don't know, you hate to say it because I don't want to jinx it. It seems like if I talk to you, I say something, sometimes something like that ends up happening. But that's an easy thing for us to help as a community to solve, so your guys' time can be spent elsewhere. Absolutely.
It really is. And when we talk about that community partnership with the police department, that's a big aspect of that. That if we can get our community to buy in for that, and that's something that they can really do to reduce crime in their own community. That's citizens can, if you just lock your car doors, you will reduce crime in where you live. That's a simple fact, 100% a fact. So I appreciate the opportunity to get that message out. One of the other things the officers were mentioning is that we've had some incidents recently where we've talked to people and asked, geez, do you have any cameras made by, different manufacturers that are out there? What they've been hearing is, yeah, but I don't have the batteries in them, or they don't work, or whatever. So if, people are going to have those cameras, which are a great tool for us. And I know a lot of people like to have them on their, whether it be a doorbell or by their garage door, or watching the driveway. Those are a tremendous resource for law enforcement. And if you're going to invest in them, if you could just make sure that they're operational, that would be helpful too. Because the officers expressed to me recently that they've had a couple cases where people in the vicinity did have cameras, but unfortunately nothing was captured because they just weren't operating properly. So those are types of things, like any technology. Occasionally you've just got to take a look at them, make sure that they're functioning in a proper fashion, and maybe you got to do a reset or for some fresh batteries, or clear some debris in front of the camera, whatever it might be that prevents it from working the way it's supposed to. That would be a big help to us also.
Nice. Well, so you've mentioned a couple of things about the community and what we can do to kind of help, but staying on the community aspect, we did have a couple things happen in Baldwinsville this summer. And I don't know if I talked to you after Margarita Fest or not, but obviously we had Seneca River Days, different things going on. Was there any issues, like not even necessarily COVID related, but I mean, are things kind of going smooth when people are having these events? I think we had our concert at Paper Mill Island a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, no, those have all gone off very smoothly, and I give credit to the organizations that have done a tremendous amount of planning. I was in contact with all of them to ensure that things went off smoothly, and anything that we needed to ensure as far as security issues for concerts on the island, or if there's fireworks. I'm the person that actually issued the fireworks permit. So there's a lot of planning that went into those events, and I give the promoters credit because they did go off fairly well. I mean, any event's going to have a hiccup or two, but nothing that created a huge public safety issue or anything along those lines.
Oh, perfect. We have Taste of Baldwinsville coming up in a couple weeks. Which, it's actually on my daughter's birthday. So I was trying to tell her that I don't have to throw her a party because the village itself, right?
Yes, and she's going to get a lot to eat, and it's like a tasting menu of all around town. No, that'll be great. She should be excited, I'm sure. I'm sure she thought that was a great idea as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to that. But same thing, right?
Yeah, we all know how that conversation went.
I know. So what else has been going on? Like you said, and you said you were going to talk about the locking of the doors, which the mayor has brought up. I don't know if you watch any of the mayors.
Oh, yeah.
He brings it up.
Well, the mayor, the day before the mayor talks to you, he always sends the department heads an email saying anything to talk about. And I'm like, you can always mention locking car doors. That would be great. Maybe the one person that hasn't heard me harp on it would hear you harp on it and would do something there. So that'd be good. But obviously, school has started. And I've had some people saying, geez, trying to get through the village now, it just takes a long time. And I actually messaged the mayor last week because I knew he was going to talk to you right when school was starting. and asked them to discuss this. And I wanted to make mention as well that it's incumbent upon everyone to plan a little bit ahead now. It's going to take you longer to get through the village than it has probably in the last 18 months or so. You think about with COVID, when that was really in full swing last year, and tail end of the school year, and things where the buses weren't running, and it was a modified hybrid setup, and then remote learning, and traffic was greatly reduced in the village because the number of staff and students that need to get to campus every day, there's a lot of people. You think about all those classrooms at Baker High School, at Durkee, at Eldon, just on our main campus. Then we've got Van Buren School over on the south side, as well as St. Mary's. That's a lot of staff. That's a lot of students in each one of those places that need to get there. The buses all have to come through the village. I know the new bus garage is located outside the village now, but still parts of Hinkle Boulevard and 631 right now are under construction. So that's causing some problems there, but still that main campus is right in the heart of our village. A lot of staff, a lot of students, and just the sheer number of people traveling on, village streets that were put in place 100+ years ago. There's only so much traffic that those streets can handle before traffic is just going to be backed up, and it's going to take a while. So there's just nothing that can really be done about it other than to plan extra time to get to where you got to go.
There was a text message and email that came through from the school district as well that the buses were actually going to leave 10 minutes earlier.
Yeah.
And one of my daughters said the buses were getting there later. So I don't know if it's the traffic or just, what it is, but even the school's having issues getting, the kids to school on time at the original plan spot.
Yeah, I got that same message, even though I don't have children in school. I still got that message, and I saw that as well. And that has been an issue with the buses trying to get there on time. And I think with a lot of people having returned to work and returned to the office, and I think our memories are kind of short sometimes with how long it was taking us 2 years ago when school was in session and everyone was working to get to work. So it's a learning process again for us. And I just know, because I worked throughout the entire pandemic, what a quick drive. I live in Radisson. It was to get into the village. It was like no traffic, a couple turns and straight on 31, and I was here. And now it takes longer. I mean, I'm very close. I'm spoiled because I'm so close, but still coming through the village, it amazes me at the times of day where traffic is backed up, and it just is what it is. There's only one way across the river in the village and up and down Route 48, and it just is going to take us a while to get reacclimated to what's going on.
It is nice though, because if you remember this time last year, I would say I'd walk the village and there would be no cars anywhere at 8 o'clock at night. It was, like a ghost town.
Yeah.
So it is nice to see things come back to life. But on that, with the good as the bad. So when I go to pull out of my building now, I actually have to wait. Whereas before I just whip right out.
But it is nice because it's great to see, as I drive through, I just remember talking to, sheriff's deputies or troopers that work in our area from years ago. And one of the comments that they always said, and they would work different areas of the county, was that it doesn't matter what time of day you travel through Baldwinsville, somebody was out on the street walking. Wouldn't matter if it was 3:30, 4 in the morning, or 3:30 or 4 in the afternoon. Somebody was walking on the streets in the village. There's always something going on. And it's nice to see it kind of returning to that, where there is the traffic. There are people out and about. There are people walking, because we do have such a walkable village. And it's nice to be able to have people moving around again and some events going on and slowly start to build those things up again. And I think that's a great thing for the community.
Nope, I absolutely agree. I was thinking about you probably maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago, but again, where my house is located, I must have seen sirens, like police go by, fire trucks go by, just in my little corner, like blocking off. So I'm assuming it had to do with water. I don't know if you remember that or not, but sometimes like right by going down past Pizza Man at the light by my house, it was blocked at least one night, if not two. We had all that flooding come through. I know a couple of the businesses have really had some issues with it. Did it have something to do with that? Did you guys, did it impact your department at all as far as the weather that we had this summer?
Well, obviously, it impacts us just with the amount of calls that we received and, trying to assist our residents that their basements are flooding or issues that were going on there. And the main thing, our concern is public safety there. And I don't know the specific incident you're referring to, but it could very well have been in relation to that, or the road was flooded out. We needed to stop traffic from going there to let some people deal with the situation, whether it be the fire department or whomever. So for us, it's just an issue of responding to calls and ensure that public safety is intact, and especially our more vulnerable residents, our elderly residents, and to ensure that the ambulance and fire personnel can get to where they need to get to if there should be a medical emergency for people.
Nice.
Yeah.
I know now that I'm thinking about it, I know I didn't talk to you because the Memorial Day parade, and I know this was a long time ago, but obviously it's important to a lot of people, especially with the way that our country is and things that are going on. But did you guys do that the same way? The mayor mentioned a couple of things about it back, at the end of May, but was it kind of like just a small ceremony again?
Yes, it was. And Mike Lockwood, our lieutenant here, he sits on the Memorial Day planning committee, the parade planning committee, along with a number of other community volunteers. And they were in close communication with the VFW Post and the American Legion. And jointly, a decision was made to conduct the parade the same as last year, with a much smaller scale. There was no real parade. There was a ceremony at the library, across the library, right in front of the post office, there at the memorial, at the monument. And then a wreath was dropped into the Seneca River in memory of any soldiers and sailors buried at sea. And then we went over to both St. Mary's and Riverview Cemetery and had ceremonies there. And there was a much smaller group of people. And hopefully next year we'll be able to return to the traditional parade. But at least the community was able to provide some remembrance for those individuals that made the ultimate sacrifice in service of our country. So that was done in cooperation with those veterans groups, and really they were in complete agreement with that decision because at the time, obviously things were in a flux. There was still COVID out there, the Delta variant, different things going on. And I think ultimately it was the right decision to make at that time. Many of our veterans and members of those posts are individuals that are up in age, as it were. We all know that COVID is more dangerous to those individuals that are older. And I think it was just the right decision, quite frankly. So I know there were some that maybe were a little disappointed that we didn't have parade, that other communities did. But, it's a group of volunteers that tried to make the best decision for everyone. And they did work very cooperatively and closely with the VFW and the American Legion. So,
well, and at the end of the day, like you just said, it's, you guys, your concern is public safety.
Yeah.
So at the time you take the information, you go from that. So I'm going to throw this out to you guys. So next year, let's say we have the big parade, because those were actually the pieces that I didn't know typically happened. Right. It wasn't until last year when we were talking about it that you said, well, these are things that we do. It's just because you're so focused on the parade and people coming through with the parade. But those pieces, what you just mentioned, they actually happen as part of the parade, right? Every year, like where you have the library, the wreath in the river, and then the cemetery. So
yeah, so actually it starts out, there's a monument right in front of the post office. So right by the flag at the post office, anytime someone drives by the post office, there's a monument there. And so there's a little ceremony right there. And then when we have the parade stops right at the bridge over the river. And because from our lock, you can connect to really anywhere in the world you can get to. So a wreath is placed, dropped into the river by the two commanders of the two posts in memory of any soldiers and sailors buried at sea. And then we go out and have ceremonies at the cemeteries. So that happens every year It's not just simply the parade. The parade kind of accompanies those ceremonies. Is really, I guess, the way to phrase it.
And that's I guess that was the point I wanted you to make, because like I said, a lot of people put their chairs and they see the parade come through, but they don't realize what happens at the beginning, the end, and then in the middle as well. So
Yeah.
maybe having 2 years in a row when it was smaller, next year when we do have the bigger one, there's just more awareness of what else is actually being done to recognize those men.
And if anyone has an opportunity, I really recommend going down to Riverview Cemetery at the completion of the parade. And there's a wonderful ceremony that goes on down there. The community band plays. Members of the American Legion and VFW are there. Some local dignitaries. High school students, they read Logan's Orders. They read On Flanders Field. And they read the Gettysburg Address. 3 local students do that. And flowers are laid at the monument that's in Riverview Cemetery. And it's really a wonderful community event. And I think more people, if they went down there and brought their lawn chair and sat down and were there for that, they would really get a true meaning of what it's about. It's a beautiful setting there. It's very serene, right by the river. And it's an honor really for me to be there every year. And I've been going for over 20 years now. And hopefully next year before the parade, we'll get a chance to talk some more about that and encourage people to go there. And I think if they were along parked, maybe Ford or Frawley Street and then walk down into the cemetery, they get a real appreciation of the sense of community and what it's all about and why it's done.
Yeah, I agree with you. Actually, that's on my list of things to do next year when it's open. Obviously, this year we're keeping it small and stuff, but and that was something I didn't know. So I just, again, I always assume if I don't know something, somebody else might not know it as well. So
that's a good point.
So what else do you have on your list for what's been happening since we spoke eons ago?
We've had an interesting case that we had. We had a person call up that had a very nice vehicle, a Suburban, brand new, with very nice black wheels and tires. And they came out in the morning, and all 4 wheels and tires had been stolen, and the car was left up on landscaping blocks. And a nice neighborhood in the village, and our officers are working that. They've worked cooperatively with investigators from the state police for different things that have occurred around the state and the area. We're hearing different things, but there's groups that come up out of the tri-state area, downstate, that literally have a shopping list of tires and wheels that people are looking for. And it's a sophisticated group, because I've been here for 34 years. What's today? Tomorrow will be 34 years. Today's the 13th, so it'll be tomorrow. And I can't remember this ever occurring in our community. So, these types of things do happen. It happened to be a rainy night. Whoever did this picked a good night to do it, where everyone's windows would be closed because it was raining. Probably a sophisticated group that it wouldn't take them too long to get those wheels and tires off. This wasn't the first time they'd probably done this. Wow. But stuff like that occurs that people would just shake their head at and wouldn't think that would happen in the village. Unfortunately, it did. And, we're still actively investigating that and hoping that we can come up with some leads and determine where we're going. And then when I talk to the officers, they're like, Chief, it's just the usual, domestics and juvenile problems, and juveniles that are out and about, and maybe their mom and dad don't know what they're doing exactly. And, and so we get called, and because they might be in one of the parks or doing something they maybe shouldn't be doing, just because they're a group of kids and they're, get a bad idea in their head. And nobody says, hey, we probably shouldn't do this. So, but, as I've mentioned previously, many times before, we handle our share of domestic disputes. Yeah. And that's not something uncommon for members of our department. We just hired a new officer who came to us from SUNY Upstate Police. So he had worked at the hospital, and they get their share of, you think about the Upstate, that's the one trauma center in Syracuse. So any shooting or stabbing that occurs in the city, the people go there. And if it's gang related or group related, sometimes they'll have 2 different factions there. So they have some serious incidents occur there. But, the officers here, when he came here, they're like, hope you like doing domestic reports, because, you're going to get good at those because we handle a bunch of them. So, and he's working 311 right now. So those are things that we continue to handle on a regular basis. So other than that, unless you have some other questions and things, we are at right now, knock on wood, full staff. We hired an officer from SUNY Upstate, and he's off training and is working. So we've got our 2 school resource officers, one at Baker High School, Officer Quattrini, and Officer Natoli. She's over at Durkee. So they're both there and are actively involved with the school district there. And so, the school year's off, and it's busy for us now because there's a lot going on. There's football games and there's different things occurring, and it's nice to have those things back. And, anytime there's events like that going on, chances are we've had some role in either a presence there or some planning or some communication with them. And been in contact with our new school superintendent. Yeah, had an opportunity to meet with him. And as I expressed to him, and I'll tell everyone in the community that, our organization is a community service-based department and has been that way for 50 years. And the most important relationship in our community that we have is with our school district. And, our school district and the relationship we have with them is paramount to us. I think for 20 plus years now, we've had a formalized school resource officer program. And I think it's a model for others around the state because there's members of the sheriff's office that are also in other Baldwinsville schools outside the village. So I think when you look at that level of cooperation amongst different agencies, and the most important thing is safety of students and staff for everyone involved. So for us, that's an important relationship. I look forward to having the opportunity to meet with him further. And we're just, as we gear up towards fall, moving towards those types of things. So that's where we're at, and appreciate the community support. And if anyone ever has any questions, feel free to reach out to myself or Shelley, and I might not answer you back right away or hold those questions for an opportunity to chat with Shelley here. So just like Shelley mentioned earlier, if she's got a question, chances are other people might have the same question. So look forward to any community feedback there might be.
Well, perfect. And thank you for your time. The only question I was going to ask you at the end, which you answered, was how the resource officers were doing. Because I drove through the campus the other day, and I saw their presence there, and both had smiles on their faces. So they were at least having a good day with the kids so far.
They've been busy. I've seen them coming back, and there've been a couple of days where they have not gotten back for hour and a half after when they were supposed to, because they've been helping direct traffic and. With the buses running late, to your point, and then parents trying to, pick up students, it's been a little hectic. So they've been busy, to say the least, to start the school year.
Well, it's good. It's good that they're there, and like I said, the presence of them isn't intimidating. I think when I was a kid, if somebody would have told me there was going to be police at my school, which where I grew up at the time there was not. It would have been like, what's wrong? What's going, and
Right.
and again, the kids going through McNamara and having the resource officer there, it's nice. It's reassuring. And again, everybody seems to do a good job of putting people that are there that want to be there. I always remember, the gentleman that retired last year, the relationship he had with the kids.
Officer,
Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
No, and we've been very fortunate that anyone who has gone to the school has been a volunteer who said, hey, I'd like to be a school resource officer. And on the flip side of that, they've been what we consider to be a good fit. And not just that they wanted to work to school because, it's a good schedule and, you get to take time off in the breaks and those types of things. No, it's really because the individuals that are there, Officer Quattrini, she's doing a good job at Baker, and Officer Natoli at Durkee, they want to be there. So that's a key for us, is to find people that want to be there. Marty Knoll, obviously, he was there for 13 years or so. He had a long run there, and because he wanted to be there. So that's just a great combination of, if you can get an experienced officer that wants to be at the school. So that works well.
And just a last plug for our community. That's I think it's great that there's officers that want to be with the kids, because that says a lot about the kids as well in the school system.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. No, it's an excellent community. It's a great school district. And that's why I can't say enough. Our partnership with the school district whether we had SROs or not, but we do. And that even makes it more important for us to have that close working relationship with the district. But no, we've got some great students here, and Baldwinsville's an excellent district. Obviously, as you know, all 4 of my children are graduates of Baker High School, so I have nothing but good things to say about the district and the community as a whole.
Yeah, same here. Well, I only have 1 graduate. We'll see. Well, yeah, and we'll see how he does. And the other 2, they're making their way through.
Yeah, see if the other 2 can make their way through. Yeah,
that's right. So, well, thank you for your time as always, Chief, and I look forward to our talks. And I feel bad that obviously you're staying here for family things and not getting to go out hiking. But once again, to me, it just shows the type of human being and person that you are. So hopefully everything continues to go well for you. And maybe we'll talk next month. We'll see how it goes.
I hope so. Yeah, absolutely. I look forward to that.
All right. Bye.
Welcome to Real Estate I Love It podcast. Episode of Real Estate I Love It. Be sure to subscribe and leave a review on whatever stream platform you're using for your podcast. See you next time.